the Tavern After Dark, where we talk about the things lurking in the shadows, the things that go unsaid, the raw, real, and unfiltered stories of past, present, and future, the triumph and silent battles we face.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to the Tavern After Dark, where we talk about veterans and their battles that we keep fighting long after the uniform comes off. I'm your host, Joshua Langley. Before we start, I want to remind everyone listening that a portion of the podcast, any kind of proceeds, any kind of donations, will often go back to veterans in need, whether it be, again, times of holidays, given back to meals for veterans, whatever it may be, right? But anything that you do for us, subscribing, sharing, even just listening, it all helps us make a real impact on the men and women still fighting their silent wars, right? And this is what it's all about. Tonight is a special episode because it's our first guest. It's kind of the foundation of everything going on here. It's my brother I served with, my good friend, someone I trusted, literally, figuratively, in all senses of the term. We worked hand in hand when it came down to it in some of the most important things you could think about. Same squad, same platoon, partners inspecting heavy rig and loads, right? As we spent long nights, long days, so dealing with those heavy rigs, parachutes. This is Josh Zolinsky, my good buddy. Call him by Z, right? He's a good friend of mine. Welcome to the Tavern After Dark. Z, how you doing?
Thank you for having me. I'm doing really good, man. It's great to finally actually do this. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and I'm just happy now that we actually get to actually do it. You know what I mean? It's been a long time coming for sure.
Hey, bro, I'm with you. And I know you and I have kind of gone back, over a year now, just dealing with our time after service and going through, different battles. And so I really appreciate you taking time to jump on here. One thing I want to talk about before we get into it, Z and I were talking before the episode started about a show I really find near and dear to me. I love it. It's called Animal Kingdom. He was talking about something. And so, Z, what do you think? So you haven't watched it, right?
I have not watched it, no. But the reason why I was bringing it up, because I had some buddies over for some dinner. And, well, it was actually my girlfriend's house. But Brayden, her uncle, came up to me. He's like, "Hey, have you heard about this show Animal Kingdom?" And I'm like, "No, I haven't. It sounds like a ripoff of Tiger King. At least that's what I thought it was." And then Angel, my girlfriend's mom, was like, "Isn't that the show where they show a lot of ass?"
Yeah, sometimes, yeah.
And I looked at her. I'm like, "I don't know this." And then Brayden's like, "Oh, well, you should watch it. It's really good." And I'm like, "Well, are these asses women or men?" And Angel pops in, "Oh, it's a bunch of dudes." And I'm like, "So Brayden, you like looking at dudes' asses?" And he's like, "Hey man, if you got it, you got it."
Hey, I mean, whatever floats your boat,
Yeah, it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I went through it pretty quick watching it, but it really tied to me. And I think the biggest thing that really sold the whole show was just the actors that played the characters. They really dove into the story and it made it seem more realistic. You sometimes watch those shows where you're watching the acting. It's obvious. It's like,
Yeah,
dude, really?
terrible.
Like, yeah, exactly. It's terrible. So, but no, anybody watching or listening to this, definitely I would say check it out. I know Z, he might start to check it out. We'll talk about it later in other episodes. But I definitely want to dive into you, Z, because you and I have been through a lot, and the biggest thing that always hit me was that you always went out of your way to go above and beyond, right? You went outside of, your norm. You would often do things that weren't just for you, right? You would step back and put yourself in the back line and really put the mission first, right? That's what it's all about, but you were like the epitome of that to me, and so I want to ask you, so before the military, who were you? What shaped you growing up? I know wrestling was a big part of that, right? So I want to hear more about that.
So basically, the person that I was before the military, starting off in like high school, I'll just start off at that. I was just a jock meathead growing up in high school. I wrestled for a long time, over 10 years, and I did play football, but I had a crossroads to where it was either football or wrestling. I chose wrestling, obviously. And I was just a normal kid, you know what I mean? I didn't really get in any trouble. I didn't drink or smoke in high school like a lot of my friends did, but I was just very passionate about being as clean cut as I could be, so I could set myself up for success later in life. And I graduated in 2018, and I kind
Don't make me feel old, okay?
of, hey, dude, I'm getting there. I'm getting
Yeah, oh,
there,
yeah,
man.
yeah. We're at the
And
best part of life, though, you know?
yeah, totally, totally. But kind of came at a crossroads after high school. I'm like, well, I don't have the grades or the mentality to go to university, so I was like, I'll try junior college. I'll do that. So I did junior college for a little bit, 2 years, and I was also working full time. I worked full time in high school, and I also worked full time going into college, and I was putting myself through college. My dad ended up very gracious. I'm very thankful for this. He ended up paying for the first semester, which I was really thankful for. And college just definitely furthered, or it definitely reinforced my hate for the classroom setting and school in
Okay.
general.
No, I get it. Yeah, oh,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and I couldn't do it, man. Like I was going to school, I was getting mediocre grades, working full time. I was doing overnights as a security guard and just freaking coasting through life, I guess. I was studying criminal justice, and those classes I actually enjoyed, like the criminal side of things and actually learning about what I wanted to do. I was actually, you know, passionate about that, and my grades reflected that.
Well, one thing I want to
And
pause real quick for you
yeah,
because you were talking about coasting, and I
hmm
understand kind of where you're going there too, but I also want you to think like you weren't necessarily just coasting. You were going to school. You were finding ways to improve yourself and
hmm
establish yourself as a better person or a more educated person, right? You were
hmm
furthering yourself. So I want you to definitely reflect on that because I don't feel like you're coasting right in that situation.
hmm
And I get in some regard like there are parts of our life that we feel like we're coasting, and that's definitely agreeable, right? But I want you to definitely look at some of those sides, right, where you may feel like you're coasting, but there are parts of your life that you're doing to better yourself. So always don't forget those. That's all I wanted to say.
Oh, I
But go
appreciate
on.
that. But I was kind of just like and why I say coasting, I was kind of like just in a routine. You know what
Okay,
I
yeah.
mean?
Oh no. Okay, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah, my wrestling career was long over. Um, just my body just naturally broke down over the course of 10 years, and I had barely any scholars, and I was like, well, and I wanted to do it because my community college had a wrestling program, and I actually wanted to do it because my senior year kind of got cut short because I got hurt, and then I kind of lost all of my drive after I got better. And, when I approached my dad with this, I was like, hey, I want to wrestle again. He's like, hey, no, now's the time for, get your studies done so you can get a good job. Wrestling, that's over. You know what I mean? And that was a really hard pill to swallow.
Dude, I relate so much to that. But yeah, keep
Yeah.
going.
And I had to push through it. So I'm working full time at a security place overnights and going to school in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon before work. And on the side, I kind of started making like TikTok videos, and
Okay.
I got very famous
I
off of
yeah, I
it.
know you hit a little viral. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I got a little viral off of it, had over 100,000 not subscribers, 100,000 followers, and I was just making them at work. You know what I mean? Just being a
So
jackass.
it's just a sign that it can happen to anybody randomly, right?
Literally,
That's
especially back
yeah.
then, 2019,
Oh,
right
no,
before.
it's even more so now, right? Think about it, because you
Yeah.
have all these different, and like the way that like TikTok algorithms work now, like it's
hmm
not just looking, it's looking for what's trending. It's not looking for who has the most followers or who's being viewed the most over the last month or whatever it is, right? That's where I think TikTok is like gold. I've
hmm
seen a lot of information about it, but it really is. It makes you viral without even having to be already viral. You know.
Absolutely. Yeah. It gets you a lot of exposure.
Yeah.
And, I'm doing this, I'm going to college, and I'm at my last year of community college. Excuse me. And I'm still making these videos and all this shit. And I get a call from this is funny. I get a call from like the branch people at my company. They're like, hey, we heard you've been making these videos. And I'm like, Yeah, I don't think it's that big of a deal. And what I was making wasn't like bad or anything like that. It didn't deal with like any controversial topics or anything. It was just me being a ding dong, you know?
Right.
And they're like,
Yeah.
well, this goes against our policy. And I'm like, what policy? And they're like, videoing yourself. And I'm like, and I wasn't technically in uniform when I was doing this. I had my little security vest on,
Right. Okay.
and there wasn't no like allied patches or anything. That's the company I used to work for, Allied
We can bleep it
Universal.
out if we need to.
Yeah, it's a terrible
If
company.
it's not a big deal now, we can leave it where it's at. But
It's a terrible company anyway. But they
hey,
were like,
we all have our opinion, So
yeah,
that's the whole point.
but they were like, yeah, no, so you're suspended, and I'm like, what? It's a video, dude. It's not that big of a deal. They're like, well, there needs to be an investigation. And I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So then the semester ended. This happened in December. And then the semester ended, and then there was money. I was having money issues, and then a month came in like January, and then I get a call from I just call on my site supervisor. I'm like, hey, did they come to a decision or whatever? This, that, and the other. And he's like, yeah, you're gonna have to come to the site. And I'm like, you could just tell me if I'm like fired or not. He's like, no, you need to come to the site. And I'm like, fine. So then I drive 15 minutes to the site.
Already knowing.
Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm so toast. Like, it's not a big deal. So then he hands me my freaking termination paper. He's like, yeah, no, you're fired for breaking the video policy. And I'm like, well, great.
I mean, in some light, I get it. That's why businesses have their policies, and I get how like they
Yeah.
could maybe look at it and see like, oh, well, this guy's making us look bad. But if it's just genuine and wholesome, and you're not making you know anybody feel terrible about themselves, right? You're not
No.
talking poorly about somebody, or again, it's just fun, right? So
Yeah.
that's where I think like, but everything's so cut and dry, and I get it. It's like I've been in the corporate world, right? They have to align to a standard, because if they let one person sway from it, then they have to now start answering for all the other ones. So I
Exactly.
get it, but from your standpoint, especially if you're a good worker, which I know you
Oh, yeah.
are, I've worked with you, so there are levels, and I guess you could really look into it and subjectively say, or you could look at it and say like, hey, I know this person, stop what you're doing,
Yeah.
and then
And
we
dude,
can
like,
move forward.
a little side note, yeah, too. I was like, and I'm not trying to stroke my own ego or anything. I was like their best employee. I really was.
I don't
Like,
doubt it. Like I said,
every-
you don't have to
every
toot your own
site-
horn, man. It's
So I wasn't just restricted to one freaking site. You know what I mean? Like they
Yeah.
would call me and they'd be like, "Hey, we need you to go to this location." And it'd be like an hour away. I never said no. I never said no. If there was any like shifts that needed to be taken up, I was like, "Put me on, X, Y, and Z, blah 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 blah." Dude, I was literally as a full-time student and 19, 20 years old, freaking working 15, 16-hour days with no lunch, no breaks, nothing like that. And it was all asking no thanks. And literally the biggest thing, or like the moment they could terminate me, they did. So I don't know. Maybe I pissed somebody off. I don't know.
so hear me
But-
out though, right?
Yeah,
What you're telling me is they prepared you pretty well to go to the military then.
absolutely. I do that. That's been
Because that's
like,
that's service. That's what we do. Or
Yeah.
did, I guess. But thankfully for you, and we'll kind of highlight that real quick for everybody that's listening. Z is still serving our country, right? He still has the ability. While he is a veteran in some sense of the term, right? He has now taken up the ability to still follow on with his service, but also look back to what is his heart is desired, right, with the police force. So.
yeah. I couldn't walk away.
Definitely, yeah, right. It's twofold, So, props to Z if he wants to finish out his 20 years doing that, and then also serving on the police force. Man, hey,
That's a
I
possibility.
salute you, right?
Yeah,
It's.
thank you. It's a
So
possibility.
I want to ask you then, Z, because kind of
ahead.
diving into everything you've said, and you've really given us a good idea of where you've come from, and like I said, you shouldn't feel bad tooting your own horn, because I work side by side with you. I know everybody that I worked with side by side with you also had the same thing to say about it, man. So anybody that would want to have you in their, police force specifically, right? They'd be lucky. So I want to ask you though, I know you said money. Was there anything else outside of that really pulled that trigger for you to say, hey, I want to enlist? What were you hoping, say, to get out of the military at that point?
So for me, going back to it, like anyway, I was fired. I couldn't pay for school, so that was out, and my dad wasn't helping me
Okay.
at that time. Me and my dad were kind of at like a bad time in our relationship. And so I had to come to a decision, and I was like, well, I have no other options. Like, what can I do? My dad literally, because we got into a fight about this, he's like, you either need to get the fuck out of my house or join the military, and I don't even know if they'll take you. And
Damn.
that kind
Okay.
of
Yeah.
resonated with me. So literally,
Now you want to prove them wrong, right? That's
absolutely.
oh, dude,
Oh my God.
that's like one of the biggest things to fuel you, you know.
Yeah.
So
And no, literally, dude, him saying that within 2 days, I think it happened. I was in the recruiting office
there you
and I
go.
was thinking about my options at the time. I met with a recruiter, Sergeant Bushy, if you're listening.
Yeah.
Thanks, man. Uh, and we were going through the list of jobs. And I was like, well, I want to be a police officer, so why not military police? He's like, okay, cool, but you need to go to MEPS and do all this shit. So literally go through all the stuff, go through MEPS and all that, test. I took my ASVAB. I scored a lot higher than I thought. They were like, you basically pick any job you want. And I'm like, all right, well, I want
And you
military
picked
police.
rigging.
I did not pick rigging. I did not pick rigging.
I know. Go on.
So I got 31 Bravo. They had me like reserved in, like that spot was mine or whatever. So then I get all this stuff done, and then my buddy called me. He's like, hey man, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to the military, blah, 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 blah. He's like, okay, cool. So then he started doing it, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then a week goes by, or 2 weeks go by, and I go back, and they're like, hey, I know you want to be military police, but unfortunately that spot has been taken. And I'm like, by who? And then he gave me my buddy's name. And I'm like, you motherfucker. He stole my spot. There was only one spot available. And I'm like, well, what the hell? I kind of don't want to do it now and all this shit. And Sergeant Bush is like, wait, well, what about being a parachute rigger? And I'm like, what? What the hell is even that? And he's like, oh, you're going to pack parachutes. And he's like, and you go straight to airborne.
And you get to jump out of planes, yeah?
Yeah, you get to jump out of planes, do all this cool shit.
Yeah.
And then you could go to free
High
fall
speed.
school and all this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. He's like, dude, but airborne. People think you're the shit when you're airborne. You get a nice red beret, and then when you get your job, you're going to wear a nice baseball cap. You're not going to wear the stupid PCs and all this shit. And I'm like,
I mean, if you think about it, though, as airborne, right, as riggers,
Yeah.
those that don't know, right, we're the only MOS that has to stay current, right, jumping airborne status. And
you're
so,
jumping especially as a rigger, you are jumping pretty much every month. You know
if
what
not
I mean?
more, right? So,
If not more.
But yeah, go on.
So he sold me at airborne. I didn't look into it or anything. I'm like, you know what? I get to wear a red beret and a red baseball cap, and people will think I'm the shit.
You
Fuck
stand
yeah,
out, right? Yeah, let's go.
that's what I was like.
Yeah.
I was like, let's do it. You know what I mean? So I signed on. I went to MEPS for the final time, and then I swore in. And I kind of did the delayed entry. I think delayed entry is like where it's like a month. I didn't do that. I did like 2 weeks.
Right.
And my dad,
a month or longer. I can't remember either. I went.
Yeah, so
like you, I went
did
straight
2
in.
weeks.
I went. I signed on and I was gone like almost 3 weeks and 2 days, 3 days to the date.
Yeah.
So.
And a little side note, I wasn't entirely out of money leading up to me shipping out. So my buddy and I used to frequent this bar because I looked old as shit. And I can get into bars when I was 19, 20 years old. So I worked at this bar. I will not name this bar because now I think it's a horrible bar and I will never go in there because of their practices. But I was bouncing. I was doing security and getting paid $200, $300 a weekend to bounce there. So that was my only form of income until I shipped out. And I shipped out on September 14th of 2020. And the rest is history. I shipped out of Chicago, obviously. You know what I mean?
Chi-Town, yeah.
Chicago Bears won today. They beat the Steelers.
Dude, oh, hold on. Speaking of which, man,
I think the Cowboys lost, man.
Don't tell me, because I told Penelope earlier, I was like, man, Penelope, I said, we need something. It's 21-0. And I just looked back before we started this, and it was 24-21, dog. Cowboys! Let's go!
They won?
Yeah!
Let's go!
Dude, I told you, like, Penelope, I told her earlier, it was like 21-0, girl. I was like, I don't know what to tell you. I was like, just like, Cowboys every year. I know,
Every-
a Bears
I
fan
know.
too, right? But we're always good enough but not good enough. You know. So,
Yeah, they
but
always
it's
shit the bed.
and it's not just that; it's the Eagles, dog.
Mm.
I'll take it. All right. Anyways, so
And we play them next week.
dude,
I hope we
look.
beat them too. I
Yes,
hope we beat them
please
too.
do.
Please,
Please do.
God. But
Oh,
yeah,
back to you, Z. You know,
Yeah.
so it kind of gives us an idea of you enlisting, right? Your kind of hopes, dreams, push you that direction, really. But it was your sense of duty, right? You, as we kind of talked about before with your jobs, you know, you have a purpose and you want to do what you need to do, not just to make yourself look good, but you know how it impacts others, right? If you're not showing up,
absolutely.
it hits everybody else. So you were kind of talking about your finances. You weren't fully out of money. So
No.
lead off with that.
So I wasn't fully out of money. When I did get fired, I was just kind of because I kind of got hired at the bouncing gig because I frequented that bar like every weekend, and it's a
Okay.
party bar if you know what I mean by party bar, to where like they have
Hey, I
big
was young.
events.
Okay, I was young, contrary to what you think.
Yeah, I
I
know.
was young at one point. All right, go ahead.
But yeah, no, like they would have a bunch of special events. They would have like bingo nights on Wednesdays, and then every fight that was going on, boxing, UFC, they
Right,
would always
okay.
have events there. And it was a frequent spot for people, and it's also not in the best area, so there's a lot of gang activity over there and stuff. And they just needed extra hands. And me, despite what I look like now at 19, 20 years old, I was 130 pounds soaking wet. You know what I mean? But
But you're swole.
I knew enough people and enough people like me to where they actually gave me a shot. You know what I mean? And
But those are
I
the ones
ended
that
up
are dangerous, right? See, the ones that
absolutely
you don't expect.
the
You
small
know?
guys, the
Yeah.
small guys. And before I actually left, I took down a 6'5", 300 no, 230-pound giant of a man. But
It's
that's
not
another.
always about strength.
No, it's not. It's a story for a different day. But I was
David
doing,
versus Goliath. We know the story, you know. It's,
and I have a buddy that will back it. But I was doing that and just kind of accumulating my money until I shipped out.
okay.
And I was doing that. Plus, I was also doing another side job. Can't really get into it too much because the guy is no longer here with us, and I don't want to
No worries,
fuck up
man.
his
Hey,
name.
no, you're good.
But I was doing that as well. But I also had a lot of people in my ear telling me like this was a good thing to do. Like my buddy James, he is no longer here. He's actually, I don't know if you remember, he actually passed away when we were together. You know,
Yeah.
I was that
Yeah.
guy that kind of like coaxed me in.
Yep.
And this guy, he was an Iraq vet. You
Yeah, I
know,
know.
he was also
I know I hit you hard. I was there.
dude. It was rough, but yeah, no, he stirred me, and we got really close through. He's like, dude, this is like the greatest thing you're ever gonna do. You're gonna have the best friends that you'll ever have in here. You're gonna have such great experiences and all this other stuff. And
He wasn't wrong.
he was no, he wasn't. He wasn't wrong at all. I just wish he
could
was
be
here
here to see
now
it.
so we
Yeah.
could fucking see. Because now I'm the rank that he got out at, and he had like
Right.
19 years in.
Yeah. Okay.
So it was just one of those things.
But as
But
no,
anyway,
the best thing we can do now is live on through them, right?
Absolutely,
And honor
yeah.
them. I think that's for me. That's one of the biggest things is because you know I lost my uncle right before I joined, and
Yeah.
it was surreal for me because I used to go sturgeon fishing with him, and so we're standing there. You know, I got honor grad. I'm standing there, you know, with the distinguished honor grad. Wasn't that cool?
It was really, dude. That's
but,
it.
dude,
All right,
that was great.
all right. That is a great accomplishment, man. I don't give a shit
No, I appreciate it.
what you say. Distinguished honor grad, man. Like you don't understand how like rare that is for people to get. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
appreciate
Yeah,
it.
everybody gets it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm not saying like everybody gets it. Like every class is gonna have that,
Exactly.
but not everybody's gonna get that, dude. So you're part of that, like 0.3% of people that actually got that. You know what
Yeah,
I
bro,
mean?
I appreciate that for real.
So that's
It's-
something to really be proud of. You know
I
what I mean?
definitely
And
am
you're
proud
using
of
it now.
it. You know,
You're
absolutely.
using it now.
But I,
You know,
I
you-
appreciate that for real. And it was hard because you know, COVID. Like you were there.
Yeah.
We couldn't have anybody there for our graduation. We
Nope.
couldn't see anybody. Dude, I went 10 months not seeing my kid, my wife. You know, all those different things.
I couldn't
But-
imagine how you did that, man. I really could.
It was tough, but like I said, I wouldn't take it back. I don't regret it because I would regret more not joining. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
But we used to sturgeon fish. I love sturgeon fishing up in Idaho, Snake River. You know, we'd catch 9, 10 foot sturgeon, and so
Nice.
standing there, you know, me and the distinguished honor grad, and I'm, you know, standing in position, right? We're waiting. Everybody's walking by while we're standing there. I look up and I just see like the cloud imprinted, and it looked exactly like a sturgeon, bro. Like big old long, elongated. Looked like it had a tail and a fin. Looked just like a sturgeon, and I was like, man, he's looking down. He's up there, And so I wanted to kind of go back to what you were saying, because I feel it's important that we take those that have impacted us, like you said, and even if they aren't around us, we should find opportunities to honor them and really live through them so that they can continue living, So definitely back to you though. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just making odd money, trying to survive. And my dad, so the day comes, let's fast forward to the day where I actually ship out. And my dad, I visited my grandma. My grandma basically raised me since I was like 6 until my dad got remarried. And so the day comes, I'm shipping out. I already met every person that I wanted to meet. I was even talking to a female at the time who will not be named. Who will not be named.
Yeah.
And, was doing that. And
I think I know this female, yeah.
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, you do.
Go on, though. Yeah,
and
that's neither here nor there.
We got time. We can talk. I don't give a shit.
No, but, that's for a later date. Let's focus on you, though.
So, the morning comes. I'm supposed to ship out at noon. And I wake up, and it's just a different feeling. You know what I mean? It's like something's different. And my dad's like, hey, man, ready to go? And I'm like, yeah.
It's time. Yeah.
Yeah, he knows it's time. Yeah, everybody knew it. I knew it was time. Something's got to change. And I thought this was going to be a great stepping stone. So, get in the car. We drive down to the recruiting office, and I see the white bus. And I'm like, oh, here we go. It's real. And the whole way, the whole way there, me and my dad are just quiet. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're just quiet because we're not talking.
Well, I mean, and being men, I think that's one of the things we see is like sometimes silence hits more than words.
Mm-hmm.
You both know what you're feeling at this point. There's no, like, especially me, like, I don't see a sense in talking about it. Like, it's happening. There's not much I could say right now to change it. So I think that's, I think that's kind of where, would you agree that's where you two were at? Like, you both knew, like, today's like the day of reckoning, so go on.
And he made one attempt. He was like, hey, man, nothing's set in stone. You tell me to turn around, I'll turn around. You don't have to do this. And I'm like, nope. I signed. I think this will be good. And I think not only do I need this, I think we need this.
So what blows me away, Z, right? I want to ask yourself, like, you're not a father, and I hope yet, right? That term yet.
Not yet.
Because I think you would be a good father. But as a father, I'm not going to go to my daughter and be like, okay, hey, you can back out of this, right? Because she's trying to do that with certain sports. And as somebody who needs to honor, what they've said, they need to honor their word because that's all we have,
Mm-hmm.
And so it blows me away. Like, as a dad myself, I would never want to tell my kid that, I don't. Because that's a huge part of why society is falling apart at the seams. Is because we all find it so easy to just, I'm done. Even though you said you would follow through with it. So as a dad, I'm really trying to hit that home because, she's 9, so she doesn't quite get it. But if I can try and instill that now, like, no, you made a commitment. You got to follow through with that commitment,
Yeah.
So definitely. Go ahead.
I just think with me and like what, because like this was the biggest decision I've ever made up to that point, and I did it all by myself. You know what I mean?
It's the biggest decision anybody would make, to be honest with you.
And I think he was just so surprised that I made such a drastic decision, and I was ready to follow through with it. Because I think he wanted me to back out. Because at that point in time, I think that's what he expected of me.
That I was going to ask. Do you think that's what he expected? So again, that's back to like we said, proving him wrong, right? You can't make it. Fuck I can't. Like, let's go.
And for the record, my dad is not a terrible person. My dad's the greatest guy I've ever met in my life. But that's where we were at that point.
Well, I also can't think as a father. I'm watching. Yeah, that's the other thing I got to think about. Like, watching my kid go away to something that they may never come back from. You know, and so I get that. Then as a dad, that's where I certainly get like having them walk back on that decision because I'd be scared for my kid.
Yeah,
You know,
and I think that's
so
what he
you're
was coming
balancing
from.
morals, absolutely. So definitely, again, like Z said, I've never heard anything but good things about his dad. So I get this. This is a hard situation for anybody to go to.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
And so we're driving, and he tells me that, and I'm like, hey, well, no. I committed, and I need to do this because I think this will be not only good for me, but I think it'll be good for everybody, And I'm thinking ahead. I'm like, you know what? It'll be easier for my family in the long run, and I can give them things that they never thought possible. That was my thinking at the time. And I had a little brother at the time. My brother was 10, and
Right.
now he's
That's hard too.
six,
You
yeah,
know,
now
it's.
he's almost 16 and he's a jerk, but I'm kidding. I love my brother. But I was leaving him
But in
behind
some
too.
ways, you left your own kid, right? You've seen him grow
Yeah.
up. You've
I
been
love
there and
that.
helped him
I
grow
love
up.
that kid.
So I
Yeah.
get it. Yeah.
And I was thinking later, I was like, you know what? This is a great example to him if he's at a crossroads, you know what I mean? But we're driving and I tell him that and he's like, there's more silence. And then I'm just thinking about, I'm kind of nervous and all this shit. And he's like, I've always been proud of you, but I've never been more proud of you until now. Like, this is
Dude,
a
I
big
don't
deal.
cry and that, it's like,
Yeah, dude, I was like, man,
that's,
like, wow. And
it
it
hits
did hit
deep.
me.
Yeah,
It
it's
did
deep.
hit me. You know what I mean? My
Absolutely.
dad always said he's proud of me. You know what I mean? I never doubted once that he was proud of me sometimes.
But there's the
But
words and then there's the explanation,
absolutely.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
he's like, you made a huge decision, but you always had options. You know what I mean? We would have
Right.
figured it out. But I'm so thankful that you've become better than me,
Dude,
essentially.
hell
That's
yeah.
what he said.
That,
And that's what, and as a father, and I think you could attest to this, I think that's what every father wants for their kids.
yeah,
They
absolutely.
they want them to be a better person than they are. You know what I mean? I think as a father, your father is the only person in the entire world that wants their kids to be better than them.
And I want
And
to
I'm
add on to that.
yeah.
Like, as a father, like, I don't so much need my kid to be better than me. Like, that's obviously where we're here to teach them, our mistakes to try and help them not make those same mistakes. But I've come to, like, change the way I think about that, Z, in the sense of, like, even if my daughter doesn't accomplish the things that I'm able to accomplish in life, right? In the sense of being better or whatever it may be,
Yeah.
what makes me feel complete is that she remains whole. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so many broken parts of us nowadays, and I think that's the hardest part to live with, right? It's not so much what we did, how we did it, where we did it. It's in those moments, there's little pieces of us that broke off. You know what I'm saying? And so, as a dad, like, I want to try and take those moments away, but I also know they're learning experiences. So I'm just hoping that I can keep my daughter whole enough that she doesn't fall into pieces. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that, I think, is for me, and I definitely see, like, the better than, because if I can help her be better than me, I can help her from falling apart or ripping apart at the seams. And so it kind of goes hand in hand, absolutely. But definitely, yeah. So keep going, though.
Yeah. So we have that conversation, and that hit hard. I didn't cry or nothing, but like I was feeling it. You know what I mean? And we get there, I get out, and one last hug, and he's like, "Dude, you're doing it. You know what I mean? You're gonna do good." And I was actually genuinely scared. I was terrified because I didn't know what the hell was gonna happen.
Oh, nobody does.
And
Especially in the day of COVID. Like,
yeah,
I heard so much stuff before I left, and
yeah,
it was all worse than it was imagined. It's like
yeah,
you
yeah.
got basically quarantine bays up and down hallways and beds and
Oh my
people who don't have
God.
rooms. Dude, we went through a weird moment in basic. Well, like, well,
In
you didn't have
basic
it as
and
hard
in
as we
AIT.
did. Like, okay, you didn't go through basic when it was basically like, the bubonic plague was going
Yeah.
around. So
And people
it's
don't
like,
understand. And people don't understand, especially basic is supposed to be 10 weeks. For us, it was like 13.
if not more, bro. Like, there are
Yeah.
people I know that hit it, got COVID, got recycled. Hit it, got COVID, got recycled. And there were some they were there for 90 days before they even started, bro. Like,
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
that's why I was like, in some ways, like I hid some of my symptoms because I got a kid to get back to. It's
yeah,
like,
you
but
have
I
to at that point.
but I want to ask you because I know we've kind of talked a little bit about your entry in, like why you wanted to do it, and your family. And I really appreciate you getting so in depth and emotional, and kind of opening us up to your family dynamics and how your life is. And I want to dive into a few other things as we get into kind of your time in service, your time after you got out, right, where you ended up joining the reserves, right? Your reserves.
Yep, yep.
Correct. So you ended up joining the reserves, right? So in
Hmm.
my eyes, you are a veteran, right? You're gonna be a veteran. So this podcast isn't just for like, hey, you're out, right? We all struggle, and that's what I think everybody needs to highlight. And that same struggle we carry in follows us after, you know. So I want to ask you, you came in a couple months before I did, and so we
Hmm.
didn't really have any connections through basic. I know we kind of had glimpses of each other through AIT, right? But we were so far separated class wise that we didn't have any time with each other,
Yeah, did you graduate? You graduated before me, right? Or
Nope.
after?
After, yeah. So,
Okay.
like, again, chow, right? So you were there
Yeah.
before us, which means you eat chow before us. We came in. I think I was 2 or 3 classes behind you,
Okay.
and
Right.
it might have been 2. But again, so we didn't get to see each other. So I want to ask
Hmm.
you, because you and I had never really talked about this, because I remember my days, but I was, up at Heavy Pack, and
Yeah.
so those of you that don't know, right, heavy rig inspections, right, parachute checks. I started out packing our big G11s, G12s, Charlie's
Hmm.
Bravos, right? Um, what were your early days like in the platoon? Where did you start out? I want to dive into that.
Okay. So with me, a quick little side note. So going into AIT, you brought it up. So I originally was stuck in a class way earlier than the class that I ended up being in.
Yeah.
So it was 3 months we had to wait because the classes were backed up. And then 3 months goes by. I finally get into a class. I go with day one of class when we're in the heavy rigging portion of AIT. I get a Red Cross message. Your grandma's had a heart
Oh,
attack and has died.
yeah.
And I
I
already knew
remember
something
this.
was
Yeah.
happening. I already knew something had happened. Like she had a heart attack, she went into surgery, and as far as I knew, she was okay. She was at my house in my bed with my dad, my dad taking care of her,
Right.
and then he brought her home. Come to find out, when they did the surgery, she had a hole in her heart, and they didn't
Oh,
catch it.
shit. Okay.
And then my dad ended up visiting her the day after he brought her home, and she's hyperventilating and all this, and then he takes her to the hospital. 20 minutes go by, the doctor comes out, is like, hey, no go,
It's
say
not
your
looking good.
goodbyes. Say your
Yeah. Man,
goodbyes.
that's.
So day one, I get that fucking message.
At
And
least
original,
Dad did get the opportunity to say goodbye.
yes,
That's.
he was the
And
only
I know
one.
that's hard. I know that's hard for you, Z. So
Yeah.
my condolences to you, my
Oh,
friend.
thank you.
And I hope
And
knowing what
it,
your dad had helps you. But go ahead.
yeah, and it's especially difficult because my dad is her youngest child, and we lived with her for a period of time, me included. That's why she is so important and special to me.
But she
And
helped
so I get
grow
that
you. So
message,
yeah.
and I go to drill sergeant, senior drill sergeant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I forget her name, but we all know who she is.
Mhm.
And
We don't need to speak names,
no,
right?
but I remember one of the other drill sergeants, they only wanted to give me 3 days. Uh,
Yeah.
arrive the day of the wake and then leave after the funeral. And I told our senior, and she was like, fuck, literally her words, fuck no, give me 10 minutes. And then she
And
goes into the,
that's good, senior.
yeah,
That's
and she goes into the drill sergeant office, and then she calls me back down. She's like, hey, you got 6 days, book your flight, you're leaving tonight. And I'm like, all right, cool. So anyway, do the funeral and all that. And then I get back and I go to my Drill Sergeant Calhoun. He's like, hey, I'm like, hey, who do I line up with? Because they told me, they're like, hey, man, we know you're leaving, but you'll be able to go into the next class. So you won't come with your class, you'll go into the next class.
I
And I'm like,
remember
okay,
that.
cool.
I
Yeah, I'm like,
do
okay,
remember
cool.
that. Yeah.
So then I get back and I'm like, hey, who do I line up with? They're like, hey, man, sorry, we gave your spot to an MOST. You're going to have to wait 3 more months. And I'm like, great. So in total, I was there for 9 months before I
Well,
could even.
What was his name? He was there, dude. He hadn't even started class yet. But he was there for what, 8 months, 7 months,
Oh,
because he got hurt. But
yeah. I
yeah,
don't
I don't
remember.
remember his name, but dude, he was there for a grip because
I know who
COVID
you're talking
happening.
about.
He got hurt.
Hmm.
Dude, there was all sorts of things. But
Yeah.
yeah, man,
But
I'm glad Senior got you that. That's
yeah.
important.
So that was good. But anyway, going back to your original question where I started off with the platoon. So we served in the 82nd, the number one airborne unit in the Army in the world. So I was actually started off in heavy pack as well in Shop 2, packing the actual G11s and all that. And I did that for about 3 months
They take
before
the
I
good
actually,
ones and they send them all down
they sent
to
them
the
all down to,
cage.
literally, they sent them all down to headers, which
Yeah,
for all of you that
which
don't
makes
know,
sense. But yeah, go
yeah,
on.
but that sucked. And I'm sure I pissed off somebody down there
So
to where
tell us
they
more
sent me
about
down
headers,
there.
though. Let's talk about kind of
Yeah.
where you and I had a huge chunk of our interactions, and really
So
where I feel
headers,
like we had probably the most important job, right?
absolutely we did. Those vehicles wouldn't have dropped if it wasn't for us. But headers, which was me and Langley's primary duty station, was we take the G11s that are packed, configure them into 1 packs, 2 packs, 3 packs, all the way up to 8 packs for
Yeah, so we
vehicles.
cluster them, right? Yeah.
Yep, we cluster. And then we actually put them on the vehicles when they're all rigged up. We do the final tie downs and the final inspections, and then we get them prepped and ready to get shipped out to Green Ramp at Fort Bragg. And then they go on an airplane, a C-130 or a C-17, and then we actually do the final checks. And if you're lucky enough, you'll be able to ride up in the actual plane and see them go out, which I
Right.
did that a lot. I did that
Yeah.
a lot
That's,
when I could.
dude, that was the best part, right? And then,
That was the greatest part.
CDS bundles, right? We were up in
Yep,
the air
CDS
basically
as
to
well.
make sure that these loads go out no matter what, right? And
Yeah.
we're more or less like the last way to like, okay, if something's wrong, we've got to fix it. And if they can't fix it, they've got to scrap that whole drop, as we've seen before.
Yes. Oh my God. I
So
can't
you,
tell you how many times literally there have been literally a strap can be just tethered, you know what I mean? Because we use nylon to some of these down. And instead of just replacing the nylon like you normally would, be like, hey, let's just put a new strap on it. They'd be like, oh, no, actually, scrap it. We won't even drop it. It's like, it literally takes like 5 minutes to just restrap this
yeah,
strap. And they're
but
like, nope, nope, forget about it. We're not dropping it. And it's
we got
like,
Air Force, we got Army, right? So,
yeah. And I'm like,
but so Z, we've talked a little bit about kind of where we were at, how we had our interactions, and
mm-hmm,
I want to before we kind of jump more into what you and I have interacted and what we did specifically, and how how we really just did everything on that mission side. But you've talked about your dad. You talked about how once things were done and he opened up to you. Um, Once you got into your unit and you started, progressing your way through the ranks of the army as an active
mm-hmm.
soldier, how did that relationship progress? How did you feel in that moment? Not just I guess about your relationship with your dad, but you yourself individually. Did you feel confident? Were you feeling good about yourself? Tell us more about your mindset when you first kind of got in up until you and I really started working together.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, dude, I thought I was the shit. I'm not gonna lie. Like, not like necessarily like, oh, nobody could fuck with me. I'm cool, you know what I mean? But I just genuinely thought like,
You
I'm
knew
doing
you were
something really
shit.
good.
Yeah.
I was doing something awesome, you know what I mean? And I didn't really think, like support battalions or support units or anything like that were that important. Dude, they're the most important thing,
Right.
you know?
And
And
make the mission go around. So
yeah, and I just thought, especially when Russia invaded again, and we were in charge of, getting all the CDS bundles ready and all the vehicles ready. And there was that like 20-hour span because I was originally part of that deployment team. And we were just, getting shit moving, getting ready. And that's when I really thought I was like, oh, wow, we're actually doing some real world stuff here. This is important, and then that went its course the way it did. And then, like me mentally, especially, I thought I was doing really good. Yeah, it sucked being away from home. But then again, I had like people like you, I had people like Cheek, I had people like everybody around us. We all picked each other up. There was no, excuse my language, there was no dick measuring where we were. You know what I mean? And we were just
right.
in a good
Yeah.
environment. We were in a great environment. I gotta turn my phone off.
Oh, you're
And
good.
the relationship with my father, we talked every week. Like every
Right.
Sunday,
Okay. Yep.
we would talk, and he would always tell me because, like, especially being in the unit that we were in, and sometimes being around the people that we were around. And when I say there was no dick measuring, I'm talking about the lower enlisted. The people
Right.
that we were actually around, the
Everybody put the
NCOs.
effort in. Right.
Yes, the NCOs and all that, different story. I can't speak for them. But, it was just great. And every time I would get down, he'd be like, dude, just think about it. This is going to be a great thing. You know what I mean? This is going to shape you into being a better person. This is going to get you to where you want to be later in life. And I always resonate with that. I'm like, you know what? You're right. You're right. And then, of course, I hate to bring her up again, but the girl that I was talking to, officially my girlfriend now, or officially my girlfriend then,
Right.
we were talking about, things like, hey, we're going to do this, that, and the other. This is going to be great. All this, that, and the other. And I was in a good place. You know what I mean? I thought I
Right.
was doing
Yeah.
good. And then, everything was just going its course. I didn't really hate where I was until a little bit later. And it was just one of those things to where it's like, hey, I'm doing something important. I know I'm doing something important. I'm important.
Right.
And this is what matters. You know what I mean?
You got to keep reminding yourself that.
Absolutely. Every morning you had to do that.
Right.
Every morning was a struggle. You know what I mean? Every day, especially where we were at, man, it was a struggle. It was.
It
Because
really was. No, I feel you.
we were overworked, not enough manpower, and just it was brutal. That's all I gotta say. Especially during that time, especially when Russia was like playing a fool.
Oh yeah, no, and we had to do everything and sit there and make sure all the loads were ready. We had to go, dude. And you actually
Literally.
went, right? Or did you end up going? You
So
were on that second wave?
second wave, and
Yeah.
then got back, and then we were in charge of all the CDSs and all that. And I was actually talking with Gilchrist because Bai was over there, and I was talking with Gilchrist. I was like, "Hey man, are we going?" He's like, "Yeah, we're gonna swap out with Bai, so you're gonna come." And I'm like, "Oh, hell yeah!" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Is your stuff packed?" I'm like, "It's never been unpacked."
Right?
He's like, "All
I'm
right,
ready
I'll
to
let
go.
you know. I'll let you know what happens." And then I'm waiting and I'm waiting and I'm waiting, and I actually got duty off because I was thinking about going because they were going to do a swap. Then literally within 2 hours, he calls me again. "Hey, you're not going to be happy." "What?" "We're all coming back." I'm like, "What?" "Yeah, they don't need
Yeah.
riggers over here." I'm
We
like,
had
"Then why
nothing
the
to
hell did we
do.
go in the first place?"
Because they
Like,
thought
why
we
did we go in the
might need
first
to.
place?
Yeah. But we weren't dropping anything, that's
We were dropping CDSs over there.
yeah, but I heard some stories too where we'd load them up in a helicopter, fly them from one side to the other, and just drop them off. So we,
Still, it was something to do.
yeah, but so definitely, no, I feel you there, and it is an opportunity for us to kind of look at that because after that whole Poland thing happened, and you stepped into that role, and moved into headers, came back, that was right when we had that whole situation. I stepped in, and Gillespie came back too, right?
Oh yeah.
And we had to go in and fix all those bundles and all those loads, and that was, what did we show up at 11 o'clock that night and have to work
Yep.
until like 4 o'clock in the morning because everything was
Longer.
basically fucked. It was
Longer.
yeah,
We were doing 12 hours.
yeah, yeah. Dude, that was
Day and night.
so multiple times we had to do that, but
Yeah.
so I want to really kind of start to fade into, you and I had a great experience. We worked well hand in hand. We spent a lot of our time inspecting and really, simplifying a lot of our processes and making things easier. But then we both had a situation. I had my medical situation. You had the opportunity where you felt that pull to the police force, right? So in some ways you had a choice and you wanted to stay with it, right? You wanted to still be a part of your country and serve your country, but you also wanted to serve your country, and not just your country, I guess, but your city, the city you grew up in, right? You wanted
Yep.
to support them in a way that many times you've seen the Chicago PD helping, right? And so I get you wanted to be a part of that. So I want to talk as we start to transition your time. So what was it like, let's say, for the last month of actual work, right? So I know we have leave and everything's like that. So what was the last month of actually working before you took your leave? What was that like for you? Emotionally, how did you feel?
So leave when I got out, or like when I
Right.
the last time I took actual leave?
No, so when you got out, right? So, or did you take any leave, right? So, what was the last 30 days of work for you like before you separated and became a reservist?
So the last 30 days, it wasn't really too complicated. There was a lot of personal issues that happened leading up to that. So,
Okay.
and by personal, I had like 3 months left before I actually started that process. Actually, 3 months before I was supposed to get out. And of course, this girl that I was with did me dirty. You know what I mean? So that was over
Her
and
loss,
done.
bro.
Yeah, her
Saying,
loss. You know all about that,
I do.
obviously.
We don't have to talk
And
about that, but
no,
we all
but
know her loss.
the headspace that I was in, especially because Austin was around then, it was very surreal. Every every day he would see me, he'd be like, "Hey man, you don't have to leave. You don't have to go." Especially because he was using that situation to kind of drag me in a
Right.
little bit. So he's like, "Hey man, you got nothing to go back home to. I mean, you got your brother, you got your dad, but you ain't got no bitch to go back to." That's literally what he would
That's
tell me.
Austin for you. Yeah,
That is
yeah,
Austin for you.
yeah.
And I was like, dude, I understand that, but I've been wanting to be a police officer since I was 6 years old. My
It's a
dad was a
dream, right?
yeah,
It's
my
yeah.
dad was a paramedic for a long time. He's one of the best. He's recognized as one of the best paramedics in the Chicagoland area. My
I know
stepmom
that
is
was
a
a big factor. You and I had talked
yeah.
about that, and him kind of guiding your direction in that. So that was
Oh yeah, my dad is a legend
right.
in
That's cool.
that regard. My stepmom was a paramedic as well, and my mom was a nurse. So my whole family is on this path to helping people. And I thought to myself, especially when I was younger, I don't have a good enough mustache to be a fireman, and I don't have the smarts to be a paramedic or a doctor. So
Yeah,
police, if I were to be a police officer, I'd be the first police officer in my family.
and that'd be
I'm not
cool.
the first military
Yeah.
man in my family, but I think that could be a good first, being a cop. So I'm going through this process, and I did not realize that at Fort Bragg, you need to out process in full uniform and still follow
Yeah.
the standards.
Yep. No, I yeah.
And
They
I was
stress that big
essentially
time for me.
absolutely, and I was essentially because I had a lot of ETS leave. I had like 30 days of ETS leave. So for
Yeah,
that
I think I had
whole
27. Yeah, so I was right about
yeah,
there.
so for that whole month, I was on ETS leave, but I was just staying on Bragg. So, because I didn't want to do that whole thing of flying home and then having to do all that shit at home, I was like, screw that. I'll just take leave and then pop into work whenever I want. You know what I mean? So I was growing out my facial hair and all this, and still going to the frickin' the in processing place on Bragg to out process in full uniform and everything, but having a beard, no haircut, nothing. And they're like, "Hey, what the fuck? Where's your hair? Where's your haircut? Where's your shaving profile?" I'm like, "It's expired. I lost it, but
Yeah.
I'm ETSing." And I was primary specialist shitbag status. That's when
Dude.
I actually
Yeah.
started to be a shitbag. I was like, you know what? I don't give a damn. Fuck it. You know what I mean? So, and as I was getting out, I met with the Sergeant Jackson, not our Sergeant Jackson, but I met with the Sergeant Jackson at that place where he was like, "Hey, try the reserves." And what I signed was, which I didn't realize that I signed was I think it was so, I forget what it's called, but pretty much it's like you split your time, your full contract, half and half. So I
Okay.
had
Yeah.
signed a 6 year, so I did 3 years active, and I would have to do 3 years reserve, and I didn't know that. And at first I was pissed, but I was like, you know what, this could be a good thing. You know what I mean? Because Austin told me this, and I'm very thankful that he did, because I wouldn't be where I am right now. He'd be like, dude, do not attribute this place to the rest of the army. There are better
Right.
places than this.
Yeah.
There are better things to do than this. And I took that into consideration as I was talking with this Sergeant Jackson. And I was like, you know what? Okay. He's like, do you want to still be a rigger? And I'm like, not really. I kind of want to do something else. He's like, well, I'm going to put you on double golf status. And I'm like, what does that mean? And double golf status is you do not have an MOS. You're basically access to wherever you go. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
he put me in a training unit, kind of outside of Chicago. And I didn't know what the fuck a training unit was. But I was like, all right, whatever. So then I wrap up everything that I have to do on the active side. They give me an ETS, excuse me. They give me a time of when I leave, because I basically took ETS leave all the way up until my official ETS date. So I could leave
Right.
whenever I want as long as the paperwork is finished. And then I remember it, man. I got my fucking DD-214, and it was basically I had like 3 weeks left before my official ETS date. So I got my DD-214. I said my final goodbyes. Obviously, we went to the heavy pack. They gave me my plaque and all that, which is right here.
Oh,
And
that must be nice.
I talked to Austin. I actually did talk to Austin, and I asked him what the fuck is with Langley's plaque, and he's like, it just swept through the cracks. I'm working on it, man. I'm
No,
working on it.
sorry. That was in response to like Austin. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm working on it. If anything,
I
if they don't
appreciate it,
give
bro.
you
I really
anything,
do.
I'm gonna give you something because that's bullshit. You did a
No, it's
lot of
good, man.
stuff for that shop. No, you
I
did a
get
lot of
it.
stuff for that shop.
I
You did
I
a lot of stuff for
understand.
that shop.
My situation been slightly different, right? It was unfortunate and everything else, but
All the
mine
more
was
reason for you to get something. Your career was cut short, no fault of your own. So that has nothing to do with you. If anything, you're more deserving of an award because of that.
no.
You know what I
I
mean? I
appreciate
just
that too.
completed my
Means a lot.
time. You would have completed your time if your body didn't shit out on you. You know what I mean? So the fact that they didn't do anything, that's a rare Austin L that I still give him shit for.
Well, and that's where that's why it's hard because everybody that was part of our unit that knew me, right, was basically gone by the time I came back from my surgery, right? And by the time I came back from my surgery, they had already started out processing me. But
Hmm.
basically during my leave and everything else, I got shifted to headquarters. So I did all my stuff at headquarters. I was under a different platoon, right? So headquarters should have done something, but that's the thing is with if Bigness were still there, right? He got shifted too. So
Yeah, he
two,
did.
3 weeks right before I left, who I was working side by side with in the office was gone. So I'm not saying it's right. I understand why it happened in some ways, right? And I appreciate you trying to make it right. And Austin, I'm sure, still has the ability to make it right. So,
Yeah, that dude's a
so we'll
warrant now.
see.
Him and Abar, they're warrants
Right.
now.
See, and
They can
that's
do whatever
dope.
the fuck they want. And
Congrats
I'm
on
I'm
him.
really
So,
I'm really proud of both of them
oh
because
yeah,
if anybody deserves to be warrants, it's those guys. Those two, especially when they were NCOs and they were like a part of us, they were the most real motherfuckers
absolutely.
you will ever meet. When what happened with my girlfriend happened, Austin especially was like, dude, clear your fucking, because we were supposed to go to real quick story. We were supposed to go to Thanksgiving. He was supposed to go to Thanksgiving at his cousin's. His cousin lives like an hour away from Bragg. And he asked me what I was doing. And I'm like, I'm not going to do anything, man. I'm just going to be in the barracks, try to sulk. You know what I mean? Well, no, this was before. So this is when me and my girlfriend were having problems. And I'm like, I'm just going to sulk. And he's like, no, you're going to fucking come with me. And I'm like, dude. And I barely knew him at this time. Like we were cool, but I barely knew him.
So,
And
quick
he's like,
question, Z,
yeah.
because I want you to definitely follow this story, but it kind of leads into my next question here. So, would you say that this moment, not even in some ways being related to service, because again, you guys weren't together, right? You guys were
Hmm.
separated in the sense of distance. So, would you say that that was potentially your hardest part during service?
It definitely wasn't my hardest part, but it was
Okay.
definitely a hard part. You
Okay.
know what I mean? Long distance will kill anything. You know what I mean? And especially when we were dealing with what we were dealing with on the service side, on our army side, it changes some people. You know what I mean?
Right.
Sometimes you lose yourself. You lose the
Absolutely.
person that you become. And you also make some bad decisions along that way. Me, I didn't make any bad decisions. I was actually very faithful in all these.
Oh, those just I got you. Okay.
But yeah, like the distance will kill anything, and her just being who she is, and the fact that me being away, that's what killed it. You know what I mean? And I don't regret it at all. You know what I mean? So yeah, it definitely sucked, but it wasn't like the worst thing in the world,
Okay.
especially with me, because I'm a very easygoing person. You have my trust until you don't. You know what I mean? And then you'll never get it again. And it's just one of those things to where I put my trust in a very non-trustworthy person.
Right.
So that part was hard. The hardest part with distance was being away from my brother and my dad and my family. That was
So
like
that
the
would be the
hardest
hardest
part.
part then. Okay.
That was the hardest
And I
part.
feel that. I definitely,
Yeah.
like I said, your brother being almost like your kid, right? You saw him grow up,
Yeah.
you helped him grow up. I'm sure you changed some diapers probably.
Yeah.
So,
A few.
so you've been in that boat, and so I really kind of resonate with that and feel you, and how that could be your hardest part.
Yeah. And
So-
especially also not having anybody back home that actually gave a shit about me other than my family. Because like when I signed up and
you
everybody
find out
knew
you're
that
real friends at that point.
absolutely you
Yeah,
do. Dude,
yeah.
everybody dumped me. Everyone.
And I
Everybody.
feel you there because I still have people from back home that it's like if I don't reach out to them, we're not
Oh
talking.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, well, fuck you
Yeah.
too. Like
Everybody fucking dumped me, man.
I don't got time
And
for that. So
no,
it's
we're too old and we're too fucking mature and we're adults,
right.
you know,
Yeah.
to do that. And like when people say, yeah, and that's what they'll tell you when you go to basic and all that. You know who your friends are when you sign that dotted line and you actually do something that's of a magnitude as this. And they were right. You know what I mean? And that was like the hardest thing. And I wasn't like pissed that I only had you guys. I wasn't. I was actually very thankful that all I had was you guys because I can't say if those friends didn't dump me, I can't go back home and vent my frustrations.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because they're not in the shit with me. And that was another point of
They
contention
don't
with
get it.
this.
Right.
Yeah.
It's nobody will
And that was
unless they're there.
they're in it.
Yeah.
And that was another point of contention in this relationship was we would talk every day, but then I would shut down because after we've been dealing with what we've been dealing with, I would just want to either A, be left alone, or B, I just want some peace and quiet.
Or you just want a
And
simple conversation, and
yes.
it can never just be
No.
that. That's that I think that like right there, like sometimes you just want somebody who's gonna be there with you. They don't necessarily need to get it. They don't need to relate to it. They don't even really need to say much.
No.
It's
And
just,
I have that now. I have that now. Thank the
dude,
fucking Lord.
hell yeah, bro. I'm so
Thank the Lord.
so happy for you because you deserve it. And
Dude,
so
yeah. Me
so it
meeting
sounds like
What's
Go
up?
ahead. You meeting. Go ahead.
Me meeting the person that I am with now is the greatest gift from God I have ever been bestowed upon. I have never been because when I was not particularly religious at all. Ward had a big part in me finding my faith now.
Right.
Ward, shout out, love you, brother. I was actually at his wedding when he got married last year. That was really cool.
Nice.
But I was not a religious man to any point. I was more spiritual than anything. And now I'm a firm believer in God. But I remember when I got out and I was home in the reserve, obviously, and trying to find my footing. I didn't date anybody for at least 2 years. And I didn't see anybody. I didn't like F around or nothing like that. But 2 years came by. I'm like, I need to get back in the game. So then I downloaded Hinge, went on a few dates, and I'm like, this sucks. Now I
It's
know why I'm
weird.
single. Yeah, it's weird. And then I
Are
freaking went
you
on the date.
real?
Yeah. And then I went on the
Yeah.
date with the person I'm with now, and we've been together ever since. Her
So how'd you
family
guys
is
go on a
great.
date?
We went on a date. So I messaged
I guess
her on.
there you go.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
How did you get to that point? How'd you meet her?
So I messaged her on Hinge. We talked for a little bit.
Oh, so Hinge did work out for you.
Hinge worked. Hinge worked.
There you go.
And we
Shout
were
out to Hinge for y'all.
paid sponsorship, please.
Right.
But yeah, no, we went on it. We were talking for a little bit, and then we're like, hey, let's go on a date. And I already been on a few dates at this point, and I'm like, this is probably going to be fucking dead in the water, especially because I saw her pictures. She's a fucking smoke show. And I was like, there's no way this chick is real. I think I'm getting catfished, but I carry. So
Well, you
if
don't
I'm
look
getting
that
catfished,
bad, all right? You got to really, step your look up on how you see yourself, because
and she does that for me now.
Good,
But
dude.
I was
Fuck
like,
yeah.
I'm getting
That's what-
I'm getting catfished. Something's wrong. And then I freaking get to the house. It's in this nice neighborhood that I'm not used to. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then she pops out and she's just drop dead gorgeous. And I'm like, oh my God. So then we started talking and all that, and we're here where we're here. We're here where we're at now.
dude,
She's
that's awesome.
She's got me more in touch with my emotions, more in touch with my faith, religion, and I couldn't be happier. And she's perfect because like when I go for drill and all that, because I recently just got back from Germany, I was
Oh,
gone
nice. Okay.
for 2.5 weeks,
It
and
didn't say nothing to me. All right. I get it. I
dude,
get it.
I can't really ship anything, and I had to get gifts from my dad, my brother,
No, I'm
my
saying
girlfriend.
before you left or when you got back. I didn't even know you were in Germany.
Oh, I put out on Facebook I was in
Bro,
Germany.
I don't Facebook, you know this. Oh, okay,
Yeah,
until recently. Now that I'm kind
until
of
recently,
trying
yeah.
to,
But
but that was like
I
2 days ago, bro.
yeah, it's true. That's my fault. Next
So
time,
no, you're
because we're
good, man. No, I'm just glad you're safe and that you're doing well. You know,
I
it's
appreciate that. We're actually talking about going to Germany next year, but I plan on shipping to another unit. But anyway, so she doesn't really ask too many questions. You know what I mean? Like when I've come from like a hard drill weekend, because a lot of people obviously don't know this about the reserves. In the active world, you get all the time in the world to complete certain things, like
right.
with
Okay.
like certs and all that.
Yeah.
We have to cram all of that in a day or two if we're lucky. So it's balls to the wall, freaking go, go, go every single drill. We're not just sitting there twiddling our thumbs. You know what I mean? We got training to do. We got an AFT to do. We got driver's training to do. We have sexual harassment. All of like our certs and everything that military, like active duty
No,
gets months to
right.
do, we have to do it in those days. So and plus now I'm an NCO, I'm in charge of soldiers, and
Right.
it gets to the point, and I'm on top, I'm around all this brass, and I'm in this shit to where like I shouldn't even be in, but since what I did at active duty actually matters, and I had a higher standing because I had active duty time, they hold me to a higher standard. You know
Right.
what I mean? So I'm in these meetings that a lot of these guys aren't in. I'm in these meetings that a lot of NCOs aren't in. So like when I go through all that bullshit and I come home, she's like, "Hey, how was drill?" And I'm like, "Is what it is. I just want some peace and quiet." "Cool, no problem. You want me to cook you anything?" So simple. She doesn't
Yeah,
pride and
I
prune.
see.
You know what I mean? So she's great. She's
She's
great.
there to
She's awesome.
she's there to support you and really just make sure that you're good. And it sounds like to me that she gets you on a level that maybe nobody's ever gotten you on. And
Absolutely, she
so
does.
I love to hear that.
Absolutely.
And Z, one of the big things I'm going to throw out there, and I'm not so much like, hey, you have to follow this religion or be that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel you when you talk about that spirituality because I I myself, right, you know this, I really trend along the pagan line of brotherhood, right? Honor, duty, respect, all the values we feel in the military, right? And my true high powers is really Mother Earth, right? And so, but when we think about God, gods, really the heart of all of it is it gives us a sense of belonging, it gives us a sense of direction, it
Mm-hmm.
gives us values that we can follow. And if we have a stake in it, or if we have passion in it, and you really believe what it is that you're following, and that goes with anything, right? It's not just religion, but I think that's a huge part of, and you hit it on the head. You know, you said you've always been spiritual, but I'm glad that you found something because that's, I think, the most important part about it is that you found something that helps guide you forward, right? And it doesn't have to be like you're not out there saying you have to follow this, or hey, you're coming over and telling this person like, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do that. That's not the right way. That's not the right way. But we all have to look at it as, you know, we all have our own path, right? We're all walking different steps in life. We may cross paths, we may, you know, be in similar situations, but we really never know how somebody's feeling. And I think it's important. And like I said, I think this kind of brings value into our next point here. Because I was going to ask you, I know one of the hardest things I think for you after service was you left service to go do something you were passionate about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And in many ways, they're not giving you that opportunity,
Yeah,
right?
no.
So what throws me for a loop, right? You have a stand-up service member, somebody who'd never got in trouble, really no issues, who's still in the reservist, who still has, you know, all of these standing values, right? And especially as you follow this new spiritual path that you're on, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many levels to you, And so I think that's what's kind of helped you see past some of this, right? And not be so frustrated. But I wanted to
Hmm.
ask you if you wouldn't mind sharing
Yeah, no
how
problem.
how hard was that? Because I know for me, like it's kind of the same thing. Like I medically retired, right? I was like, but I still have my brain. I still have these capabilities. I still have this experience. I have the education, like all these things, right? But nothing fell in my lap. Nothing that I felt I would be qualified for because I very well am. But we're
Hmm.
in a different day and age of applicants. But to me, the police force, and obviously depends on where you're at, right? Some are struggling to get people, some really
Yes.
aren't. So
Yes.
obviously you want to serve in a particular area to say where you grew up, right? So how was that for you, Z, if you wouldn't mind sharing for us?
It's hard now. It's really hard because a lot with these police departments, especially around where I am, they want somebody who is a goody two shoes that has never made a mistake in their life. You know what I mean? And I'm not going to say that I'm a saint because
Right.
nobody is.
Nope, yeah.
But I have never been
Yeah.
arrested. I have nothing on
Nobody
my
is, so
record.
yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm I've never been arrested. I've had nothing on my record. All I have that's even remotely linked to my name is the fact that I got into an argument with somebody over a parking spot and they felt the need to call the cops after I left and gave them their spot.
Right.
So that's
Was
the
this
only
before or
thing.
after service?
This was before service.
Right.
This
So
was back
that's
in
where, again,
2019
that's where
when
it
I was
still
a kid.
blows me away is, yeah, you're a kid, right? All of us are
Yeah,
mature, make dumb decisions. You've
absolutely.
served, you're still serving, right, in some
Hmm.
level, but you also
Hmm.
want to serve on another level. And so it's like you said, they can't see past that mistake, but it's like, how much have you done now to put that in the rearview mirror and say, hey, that's not really who I am,
Absolutely. And here's
you
a
know?
prime example. Here's a prime example. So when I first got out and I was looking for job prospects, I originally applied back to Allied Universal, the security company that let me go.
Ironic, yeah, I
And
got you.
it's very funny. So I applied, I got an interview and all that. And as I'm at their office for this interview, they're like, "Hey, we can't hire you." I'm like, "Why?" And they're like, "Well, you said you worked here before, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And then they gave the name of the branch guy, who will not be named, that knew me and fired me. He's like, "Hey, he remembers you. He does not want you working here." I'm like, "That was
All
like
right.
4 freaking years ago." And I'm a veteran. I served in the military, honorably discharged. What's the problem? And he's like, some mistakes are unforgivable. I'm like, for making a bunch of TikToks because I was a jagaboon, because I was a bored kid on overnights. You're
Right.
really gonna hold me
Yeah.
to that? And that's just kind of like how some police departments are. You know what I mean? Like some police departments, especially the ones that I've applied for, even if you have like a too many speeding tickets or if you've had a parking ticket, they won't take you no matter what you've done. And that's the thing that kind of it I'm just going to say it fucks with my head in the civilian world, man. And I don't know if you've run into this, but I've run into it a lot. Nothing that we have done matters to them.
Oh yeah, no, it's any job that again I've applied for hundreds, going on probably 1,000 jobs, and so
I've
I've
applied
heard
to it.
back. I can count on this many hands how many times I've heard back. So it's like, it is like it. There really is nobody to give you the opportunity, and I understand that in many ways recruiting is overwhelmed. They have so many people, but there are different aspects like we talked about. There are
Hmm.
like teachers, right? Educators, you got the police force, you've got uh, the fire department, right? You've got all these places that some places might be okay, but there are places that are really struggling for people, but they're still being so particular like you are. But I get it, like, okay, sure, you had 5 speeding tickets. All right, I get it. You probably shouldn't be a cop because it's obvious you can't follow instructions, you can't follow the law, right? But if you're not a repeat offender, you're not excessive, you're not continuing to do it, or you've had X amount of years being stand-up citizen and you served your country, that again blows me away. So anybody from Chicago PD who's listening, please give this man a job. I like I said, you can't find workers like this. So it it really comes down to me. I would want him serving my country. I'd want him showing up to help my daughter. if she was having an issue and she needed the
I
police, right?
appreciate that very much. Thank you.
So,
It's rough, man.
yeah, it is.
And I talk with my girlfriend about this all the time. And while we're at it, might as well say it because, like, it might just not be in the cards for me at this point. Because I've applied to multiple departments, dude, literally all throughout my area, and haven't heard nothing back. I've literally gotten to the point to where the at-home visit. The at-home visit is literally the last thing that they do before they hire you. You pretty much got the job.
Like
You
a
know what I
parent's
mean?
inspection, right? Basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally just saying where you live, how you live, and then that's it.
Is it all
I've had
trashy or is it kind of picked up? Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had 3 at-home inspections. One when I was still living with my family, and the other one when I got my own place, and didn't get hired. And they don't have to tell you why they're not hiring
Yeah.
you.
And that's,
And it's like, is there something in my background that you're not jiving with? Is it something that I said in an interview? Like, what's going on? They will not tell me.
and that's
And
wrong. I honestly, like, being from my background and whatnot, and if you're gonna have
yeah, that's
somebody,
horrible.
right? If you're gonna have somebody move forward to try and figure out, like, okay, how can I get better then, right? It's like
Yeah,
taking a test and then never knowing the results. It's like,
absolutely.
all
Yeah.
right,
It
cool,
sucks,
thanks,
man. It
So,
sucks.
so I love that you've taken some time here, Z, and I definitely want to invite you back here on another podcast so we can keep breaking down a lot of what we've talked about.
Of course.
I really, like I said, appreciate your time. I want to break down just one last thing, and I know we've kind of talked about this. Really, just anybody who's listening, and again, the whole reason I started the podcast is even if it's one person, even if it's somebody that we're talking to in the podcast, right? If we're able to save just one soul, right, one person, bring them back from the darkness, right? That's my whole goal, my whole mission here is to really just help those that are finding it hard to have a place to speak, to have a place where people get it. You know what I'm saying? And so I love that you found some of your path, right? You found a woman that gets you. You found your spirituality and the religion and your path that direction, and it's made you much happier. It's given you ways to move forward, and it's given you strength, right? And that's, I think, the biggest side to it. So here at the tavern, and I like to listen and live by the DEC mindset. And so it's 3 things, right? DEC, dedication, effort, and consistency. And so those 3 things, regardless of anything, right? If you're, and I want you to think about this, right? You said maybe it's not in the cards for me, but it's your dream, Z, right? And so I want you to think about maybe it's not in the cards for you right now, right? Use that term right now or not yet rather than making something final, because it'll close doors off to you. It'll take away some of your passion or your vision, and you'll start to think, like you said, maybe it isn't in the cards for me, or maybe it isn't in the cards for me yet. And
Yeah,
so this
right
is
now.
where that dedication, effort, and consistency, the DEC mindset, comes into play. Because if you can show the dedication, which you've been doing, right? You've shown the effort. The biggest thing left is consistency, right? And
Yep.
that thing, that's where, again, it's hard. The hardest part is keeping up with the dedication and the effort and maintaining that consistency. And so when you start talking like you're closing doors, in that
hmm
sense, right? Maybe it isn't in the cards for me. Change some of those words or add the words, right? Not
Yeah.
yet, or right? It's just you're in a phase of your life and that's not what you can obtain yet, but I don't want you to give up on your dreams, bro, okay? That's one
Appreciate that,
thing.
man. Thank you.
No problem. That's one thing I really want you to keep in mind. Like, you may have a different path now. It doesn't mean your path won't go back the direction that you want or that you
hmm
need. So keep living your life, brother. But I want you to share with anybody listening right now what words of advice, what has helped you get through these darkest times after service.
Perfect. So I'm going to look at the camera for this because I think it's very important.
Let's do it.
So, 2 things that I want to highlight on, especially. I've already kind of highlighted it in earlier in the podcast. And I'm going to be very blunt here, so language,
No,
don't
dude,
fucking give up.
Tavern After Dark, dog. This is where things that go unsaid are said, dog. So
Perfect.
as long as you're not discounting anybody specifically, right? Anybody by anything, right? Words are fine, right?
Number one, for seriousness, please, and it's not just me that's saying this, it's everybody that cares about you. Do not fucking give up. And I'm specifically speaking for the veterans, especially who either retired or just got out because they couldn't handle it anymore. And I'm no better. I couldn't. Part of me getting out was because I couldn't fucking deal with it anymore. I hated it, especially at the end. But don't fucking give up. Don't make a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Please don't.
Yeah.
Okay. There's too many of us, and I'm going to say us because we're all in it together. We take care of each other.
It's a brotherhood, sisterhood, it's
Absolutely. That think that their life is not worth anything because either A, they don't know where to go after service, or B, they can't do anything but serve, but they do not have that capability. Please, if you need to find some sort of support system, whether that be going to the VA, going to a women or men's help group, just be surrounded by us. Be surrounded by our people, especially this podcast as well. Listen to this podcast.
I love it.
We will be that support.
We'll change the world, bro. One person, one step at a time.
Absolutely. And number two, it will get better. It will get better. I promise you it will get better. There's been so many times, especially after service and in the military, in my service, to where I was like, dude, this is it. This is the worst place that I could be in. It's always going to get better. It's always going to get better. It might not be tomorrow. It might not be next week, but eventually it will. That's the reason why we served. We're very strong-minded people, but even some strong-minded people, myself included, have those times to where we are not so strong. Our armor falls off. And that's okay.
It's got to be repaired sometime,
Absolutely. You can't be hard all the time. It will get better. And I also
want to... That's what she said. All right, anyways. I want to add on to what you said. Also,
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, you've really kind of hit on it too, because I know you were very lost in a time in a very dark place when everything happened with She Who Shall Not Be Named, right?
Yep.
I want to reiterate, and I think Z can attest to this, right? There is somebody out there for you who gets you, who
Absolutely.
Respects you, who understands you. So don't live for anything less. You know what I'm saying? But there is somebody there, right?
I could literally name every single person that helped me during that time of my life. First off, it was this man. It was Austin Gardner.
I was there.
You were there for it.
Yeah.
It was Austin Gardner as well. It was Thomas Ward. It was AJ Martin. And every single person in that pack shed that was with me.
Robert Bell, even though he doesn't want RJ.
RJ. He was another big one too.
Shout out
those
to
guys.
Yeah.
Those guys picked me up when I thought that it was the end. Not like the end of my life, but it was just the end of just everything. I was just done.
Right.
You guys picked me up and you guys helped me. And you continue to be there even when I was gone. You know what I mean? Every single one of those guys, especially you. And Penelope, I have a great relationship with your daughter. I miss her dearly.
She's a little firecracker, so.
Yes, she does. And she still has those glasses, I hope.
Yes, she does.
And your newborn.
Huh?
Your new baby.
So life's good,
That's
man.
not so newborn anymore.
No, dude. She's 2 going on 12, so.
God damn.
No, she's already in clothes for twice her age, so I guess we'll just make big babies. So she's 36 inches tall, 37 inches tall. Bro,
my Lord.
Not even 37 inches. But I really, again, Z, like I said, I want to bring you back. And definitely
Anytime
at this point,
I will be back.
Really just a shout out to everybody listening. We do appreciate it. Z, brother, love you, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being the first guest. Really kind of kicking things off here at the Tavern After Dark. To everyone listening, again, remember that this podcast is more than a conversation. It's here to get real and talk about the things that we really struggle to talk about. And maybe us talking about something here is saying exactly what's in your head. So if you enjoyed the podcast, if you listen, please make sure to hit the follow, leave a rating, share this episode with another veteran, share it with somebody, not even a veteran, somebody who's struggling that needs just somebody else to tell you that, like Z said, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And just another reminder, a portion of every bit of revenue and support goes directly back into helping veterans in need. So just you watching is enough, but anything else you can give back is amazing. Everybody, again, until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and remember, dedication, effort, consistency. This is Tavern After Dark. We'll see you guys soon.
See you later, Langley. Thank you for having me.
You guys take care.